Technology can help you achieve everything we've talked about today in a more effective and efficient manner. And that's everything from how do we manage our speakers to how are we managing session content. And so, Jess, welcome. Thanks for joining here in the 11th hour of today's live session. But Jess is actually going to pull four of the key takeaways that I just walked through, and she's actually going to showcase how you can apply these principles and techniques in our own product here at Sessionboard.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I think you mentioned something at the top of the conversation of speakers are just such an invaluable asset, but how do we create consistency as an end result? And I think technology really goes such a long way as a tool in doing that. So I'm excited to share how Session Board as a platform and tool can help us and pulling out some of the key takeaways in the speaker training guide. So let me share my screen here, starting with one of my favorite parts of our platform, which is our speaker portal. So the speaker portal is a great tool for onboarding, just kind of walking through, of course, the logistics of getting your speakers organized and kind of in the process that you need to tee them up from point A to point B towards your event date, of course, but it can be so much more than that. It can absolutely be a channel for relationship building. It can be a space for collaboration. There's huge opportunity to implement so much of the advice in the speaker training guide and really craft that journey for your speakers. So, teeing up, what is the intent of the portal and how can it be a valuable asset for your speakers to enable them, to equip them, to ensure they're trained and prepared for that day of event. So they're delivering the best content for your attendees. And that really contributes to the success of your overall event. So teeing up, what are they going to get out of this speaker portal? What can they expect to find here? And how it's going to benefit them overall. So they know, this is a tool for them and it's a space for them. And so, of course, they're going to see, what sessions they've been accepted to speak on. But this is where, when we're talking about those milestones and all those different points in their journey, you can start to correlate those to tangible tasks that they're going to be moving through, and you can create those here. So as they're moving through that whole process, they have those tangible things that they're going to be completing and checking off as they're moving through that process. So things like, submitting their content, of course, going through those revisions, going through that speaker training, like Allison's tip of submitting that video of them speaking, just so that they get that feel of what are they like when they're talking about something passionate. Whatever that whole process looks like to get them comfortable and prepared, you can map that out externally and then build that through tasks here. The great thing as well is you can add files. And so one of the pages in the speaker training guide, that craft your hook in 4 simple steps, you could pull that out into its own asset here and include that as a resource for your speakers. But you can start to create any of those training guides or resources to really prepare your speakers. And so I think the portal has the possibility to be super robust and really ensure the success of your overall event. So lots of
It's awesome.
possibilities
So
here.
just kind of doubling down here. So like this, this is a speaker facing one-stop shop where they have clarity into all of those milestones we talked about, everything you need from them. And on the back end, like you can manage the collection of these assets, this content, sharing training materials back out to all of your speakers. I just kind of wanted to double down on like you're currently looking at something that a speaker would receive, that you're using at scale across all of your speakers, to help prepare them, train them, and keep them kind of on track in terms of those milestones, as well as just like logistically, what do you need from them?
Absolutely. Yep. And it's completely customizable to what you need for your different types of speakers. You could create a portal for your keynotes versus your, lightning round speakers versus, whatever that looks like for your particular event. So there's a lot of range in what this could be. The other thing to dive into was talking about a lot of Rachel Morrissey at Money 2020's advice. So she talked about really designing those concise, memorable moments and how, our attendees' attention span might be very consolidated, and we want to make sure that's focused. And we're really doubling down on delivering that in a consolidated view where we're getting that content across. And so something we've introduced is character limits on session titles and descriptions and being able to control that. That was a release we actually introduced into our product yesterday. So you do have control of that. It's great for integrations as well, ensuring that flows over to your website or any other registration tools you're using. So everything maps over really nicely. In addition, you could have custom fields on session links. So if you wanted to offer those 8-minute, 15-minute sessions where it is very focused time lengths, you can certainly introduce that when you're doing a call for papers or call for sessions. So something you can implement from the speaker training guide. Another piece of advice is
Yeah,
kind of
just great guardrails. Like we had talked about creating guardrails for creating those concise, memorable moments. And like I just feel like this is so grounded and practical where it's like literally like you just have a character limit on the session submission. Boom,
absolutely.
period. That's it. So this just is really simple and practical. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. And then going further of, just prepping them for day of gathering AV requirements and ensuring they're ready to go on stage. I loved what you talked about of the last mile of like ensuring they are really ready to make that transition from their content is good to go and they feel prepared of walking onto that stage. So on the back end of Sessionboard, you can ask for those things back in that portal of what are those AV needs? What does that look like? Do they have a microphone preference? Do they need a whiteboard? Do they need a special projector? Gathering those and then having that visibility. So you can see that on the speaker side of things. You can filter, you can say, AV needs. Let me see what that looks like. Let me consolidate a view. Let me communicate with those speakers in mass, and then let me pull a report on those AV needs. Let me run that and see, do I need to pull that and have that externally? So day of my event, I have everything there of who needs a PowerPoint, and I can make sure my on-site team is prepared and ready to go. So that last mile is successful and everybody has what they need and everyone's, ready to go on stage. And you mentioned that really contributes to the success of how they're delivering that content. You have everything at your fingertips as far as what that looks like on the back end here as well.
Yeah, and I think what you're also pointing out here, Jessica, is that like I think the concept of like how do you bridge content to operations and how do you align content to operations can feel like this kind of abstract concept where it's like, okay, great. Like in theory, that sounds fantastic, but like what do you like how do you actually implement this? And I think this is a really simple display of like we're collecting like as we're building content with our speaker, we're collecting their requirements, their needs, which are then now readily accessible in a scalable format to our entire production team. So now the production team is equipped to like what we've collected on the speaker training side through the speaker portal. So it just again like we kind of inadvertently like are also talking about I said we'd cover 4 tips here, but like we kind of covered a 5th by chance where like this is also how you align your content to your operations.
Mhm. Yeah, so lots of possibilities to just leverage a session board and the technology to ensure your speakers are well prepared, you're mapping out that journey, you're optimizing it for their success, which ultimately contributes to your attendee experience and the overall success of your event.
You can download the full speaker training guide here. Again, it's 50 pages in depth. It covers all of the 12 key takeaways that we discussed today. And as always, If you have questions, if you need anything, we're here to support. And thanks so much for joining this week's live sessions today.